The person who should be applauded is the president who did the most selfless thing that anybody's done since George Washington. And that's really the truth. And all the rest of it will be long gone and forgotten. And so I'm just very proud of where we are.
Things got heated on live TV when Bill Maher unleashed a savage roast on George Clooney. From Hollywood royalty to epic burns, this showdown is packed with laughs, shade, and moments you won't believe. Did Clooney clap back, or did Maher take the crown? Let's dive in. Welcome back to Shady Side. Today, we're breaking down the ultimate celebrity roast you have to see to believe. So, let's get into it. You wouldn't believe the latest news going around about Hollywood elites. Apparently, George Clooney, Mr. Smooth himself, has landed in the right proper pickle, courtesy of none other than Bill Maher. Now, we all know George, the epitome of old-school Hollywood charm, right? But word on the street is that carefully constructed image has taken a serious hit. It all started with this political ad, a real dud. Everyone's saying that Clooney thought would be his big, impactful moment. Instead, it became fodder for Maher's razor-sharp wit. The news is that Maher, live on air, just decided to tear into Clooney, not holding back one bit. Some are saying it was about the ad's tone-deaf messaging. Others claim it was about Clooney's perceived hypocrisy. Apparently, Maher called him out on some very specific points, and it was brutal. People in the know claim Clooney tried to brush it off, play it cool, but the damage was done. It wasn't just the public humiliation, it was the way Maher exposed a certain, shall we say, inauthenticity that had been brewing for a while. Now, Hollywood's a small place, and everyone's talking. Clooney's usually got that effortless, untouchable vibe, but now, he's reportedly fuming, but also, and this is the juicy part, deeply worried about how this plays with his inner circle. Some are saying this isn't just a spat, it's a full-blown career crisis. The whispers are that some big projects are now on shaky ground, and his carefully curated image as the wise, benevolent star is cracking. It's like watching a perfectly polished facade crumble, and let me tell you, everyone's got a front row seat. All right, now spilling the tea. So, it's not just some recent tiff, this Clooney-Maher thing goes way back, and it's all about Brunei, darling. Remember when Clooney was all righteous, calling for a boycott of those fancy hotels, the Beverly Hills, the works? He was up in arms about Brunei's new laws, the ones where they stone you for being gay or, having an affair. Clooney, bless his heart, wrote this whole dramatic piece, saying we're funding murder if we stay in those hotels. He listed every single one, making it sound like blood money. Now Maher, never one to mince words, basically rolled his eyes. He publicly mocked Clooney's whole crusade, saying it was performative and ultimately ineffective. He pointed out the complexities of international finance, essentially saying Clooney's boycott was a drop in the bucket. So what's the real kicker? Well, Maher implied Clooney was grandstanding, that it was more about Clooney looking good than actually changing anything. He questioned the practicality of shaming regimes through hotel boycotts. This wasn't just a disagreement, it was a full-on takedown, with Maher basically saying Clooney's activism was shallow and self-serving. It's the kind of public smackdown that leaves everyone wondering if they'll ever be in the same room again. Okay, buckle up, because Maher didn't just disagree with Clooney, he went for the jugular. Previously, he straight up called Clooney's hotel boycott chicken shit tokenism, basically saying it was a weak, symbolic gesture that did nothing. He then threw down the gauntlet asking, what about Saudi Arabia? And demanding Clooney stop driving or using oil if he really wanted to make a difference. His guest, S.E., Cup piled on, calling Clooney hypocritical, pointing out his ongoing business with the UAE, another country with a questionable human rights record. Maher then went on a mini rant about Sharia law, suggesting Clooney needed to be more upfront and honest about his liberal principles if he truly cared. And oh, the shade. He even mocked Clooney's supposed knowledge of the Middle East thanks to his role in Syriana, completely ignoring the fact that Clooney's wife, Amal, is a renowned human rights lawyer. It was a calculated dig, implying Clooney was out of his depth. Let's not forget, this whole Brunei thing wasn't new for Hollywood. Back in 2014, there was a similar boycott of the Beverly Hills Hotel over Brunei's Sharia law. But Maher's attack on Clooney felt personal, like he was calling out not just his actions, but his entire persona. It wasn't just about Brunei. It was about exposing what Maher perceived as Clooney's performative activism and shallow understanding of complex geopolitical issues. George Clooney, a long-standing and prominent figure within the Democratic Party, had found himself at the center of heated discussions following Vice President Kamala Harris' defeat on November 4. Known for his outspoken political views, Clooney has recently faced backlash from some of his fans for his very public stance on President Joe Biden's future. Previously, the 63-year-old actor stirred controversy when he penned an op-ed for the New York Times titled, "I love Joe Biden, but we need a new nominee." In the piece, Clooney expressed his admiration for Biden, but argued that the president's cognitive health appeared to be declining, suggesting it was time for the Democratic Party to consider a different candidate for the upcoming election. While his comments were framed as a pragmatic assessment of the political landscape, they sparked criticism from those who felt his remarks undermined Biden's leadership at a critical moment. On an episode of The View, Navarro voiced her frustration with the A-lister, highlighting the immense pressure Biden faced from his own friends, including Clooney, who seemingly pushed him to step down. "I was sad in the way you feel when a legendary athlete retires, leaving everything on the field and walking into the sunset. It made me nostalgic," Navarro shared, reflecting on her emotions upon hearing Biden's announcement. The episode was charged with emotion as Navarro expressed her anger on Biden's behalf, condemning the weeks of relentless pressure from those close to him. Believe it or not, Biden has become quite controversial lately. Directing her comments pointedly at George Clooney, she looked into the camera and declared, "George Clooney, es contigo. This is for you." She didn't hold her word, insisting that these vocal donors owe it to Biden to back their criticisms with financial support. This sentiment echoed a broader frustration, one that even Bill Maher seemed to tap into, albeit with his characteristic acerbic wit. Maher, never one to shy away from a contentious debate, has recently taken aim at George Clooney, among others, for what he perceives as a disconnect between Hollywood's performative activism and tangible action. While Navarro focused on financial backing, Maher's critique centered on the perceived hypocrisy of celebrity pronouncements. He argues that figures like Clooney, who often voice strong political opinions, need to be held accountable for the real-world impact of their words and actions. He specifically targeted the perception of the out-of-touch nature of many celebrity opinions. In a recent segment, Maher essentially destroyed the idea that Clooney's pronouncements are anything more than empty gestures, claiming that talking a good game does not equate to genuine political efficacy. He further highlighted the gap between the privileged lives of Hollywood elites and the struggles faced by average Americans, suggesting that their pronouncements often lack the necessary grounding in reality. This added layer of criticism from Maher amplifies Navarro's point, painting a picture of growing public impatience with those who criticize without contributing meaningfully. Determined to take back control of the narrative, George Clooney embarked on a meticulously planned media tour designed to clarify his position and regain public support. This wasn't just any PR push, it was a high-stakes, do-or-die endeavor. At the heart of his strategy was an appearance on Real Time with Bill Maher, a move his team believed would serve as the cornerstone of his comeback. The plan was straightforward. Clooney would step onto the stage, charm the audience with his signature charisma, deliver a heartfelt apology, and drop exclusive political insights to remind everyone why they'd admired him in the first place. But Bill Maher, never one to play by the rules, wasn't having it. When Clooney's team first pitched the idea to Maher's producers, they were confident it was a foolproof plan. Instead, Maher shut it down immediately, reportedly quipping, "This isn't a platform for celebrity rehabilitation." Undeterred, Clooney's team came back with a second proposal, this time emphasizing the exclusivity of his appearance. They promised explosive revelations, direct responses to his critics, and a media spectacle that would dominate headlines for weeks. So what do you think about George Clooney and his never-ending controversies?